Imagine standing in a place where time itself feels buried alive. A place where the ground under your feet isn't just soil, it's history. Deep in northern Colombia, in a region called Saragan, scientists weren't just digging for coal, they were digging into a forgotten world. And what they were about to uncover would completely rewrite everything we thought we knew about the limits of nature. This wasn't a jungle anymore. This land had been silent for 60 million years. No birds screaming, no leaves shaking, just rock, dust, and darkness. Layer after layer of earth hiding a secret so massive, it almost feels unreal even today. It all started with something that looked like nothing special. Just another strange object trapped inside a piece of stone. Someone brushed off the dirt and froze. It was a bone, not just any bone. It was big, heavy, ancient. One expert looked at it and said, "Looks like a crocodile." Another disagreed. "Nah, could be a turtle." Someone else laughed and said, "It's probably just an old tree trunk, but deep down, something felt wrong." Because this bone didn't belong to anything small, and it definitely didn't belong to a tree. That single bone was about to open a door to a world where the largest snake to ever exist ruled like a king. A creature so massive, so heavy, that if it tried to move on land today, it would literally crush itself to death. This is the story of Titanoboa, and by the time this is over, you'll never look at snakes soar. The Klamathas same way again. Now, let's rewind a bit. Saragan wasn't just any coal mine. This coal existed because, millions of years ago, this place was a tropical rainforest on steroids. Imagine the Amazon, but hotter, thicker, and more brutal. Scientists originally came here searching for fossilized plants, ancient leaves, and traces of the first ever rain. Nobody came looking for monsters. Back in 1994, a local geologist named Henry Garcia spotted something weird. It looked like a thick, smooth branch, but nobody paid much attention. They packed it, labeled it, and stored it away. Fast forward almost a decade to 2002, another geologist, Fabione Herrera, finds something similar. Same shape, same mystery. Still, no alarms went off. Because sometimes, the biggest discoveries sit quietly, just waiting for the right moment. That moment finally came in 2007. The fossils were sent to the Florida Museum of Natural History, and that's when everything changed. The experts took one look and said, "This is not wood, and this is not a crocodile." They compared it to the vertebrae of modern snakes, and the room went silent. Because this bone was 3 times thicker than an anaconda's. Let that sink in. On one side, you have the biggest snake alive today, and on the other, this fossil looked like it belonged to something straight out of a nightmare. Using mathematical models, the scientists calculated the snake's size based on its vertebrae. A snake's spine tells its whole story. The numbers they got back were insane. 42 to 50 feet long. That's longer than a school bus. It weighed over 1,200 kilograms, which is about 1.2 tons. That's 10 times heavier than a modern anaconda. This wasn't just a big snake. This was the absolute limit of biology being pushed to its breaking point. They named it Titanoboa, the king of snakes. But this led to a real mystery. Why don't snakes get that big anymore? The answer isn't in the bones. It's in the weather. Snakes are cold-blooded. They don't create their own body heat. They borrow it from their environment. A hotter world means a faster metabolism. A faster metabolism means more energy, and more energy allows for a bigger body. Back then, the Earth wasn't just warm. It was boiling. The average temperature stayed above 32 degrees Celsius, or 90 degrees Fahrenheit, all year round. There was no winter, no cold nights, just endless heat and humidity so thick it must have felt like breathing through water. That intense heat is what powered Titanoboa. Today's Amazon. It's too cold for it. If Titanoboa existed now, it wouldn't be able to survive. And here's the crazy part. Titanoboa wasn't built to chase its prey. Trying to move on land would have killed it. So how did it hunt? The answer is water. Titanoboa was an ambush predator, a living submarine. It spent most of its life submerged in swamps and rivers, where the water supported its insane weight and reduced the grip of gravity. Only its eyes and nostrils would have been visible above the surface. Still, silent, invisible. It could wait for hours, maybe even for days. Then, boom. Scientists estimate its constriction force was over 400 pounds per square inch. That's like having 2 African elephants standing on your chest. Bones would have shattered instantly. Blood flow would have stopped. Lights out. There was no struggle, no escape. It didn't wait for suffocation. It crushed. And what did it eat? It ate massive turtles with 8-foot shells. It ate ancient crocodiles that were even bigger than the ones that fearlessly rule rivers today. Titanoboa didn't avoid other predators. For years, scientists struggled to understand how it could swallow such massive prey. Snake skulls are incredibly fragile and rarely fossilize. Then, in 2011, a student named George Moreno Burnell made a once-in-a-lifetime find, a Titanoboa skull. That skull confirmed everything. It had flexible jaws, heat-sensing pit organs, and a tiny brain. But its instincts were terrifyingly efficient. It was perfectly designed for darkness, water, and death. Titanoboa was not just big. It was perfect, perfectly adapted, perfectly balanced. The heat gave it power, and the water gave it freedom. But perfection only lasts until the world changes. And the world did change. The Earth cooled down by just a few degrees. For us, that's nothing. Before Titanoboa, that was the beginning of the end. Its metabolism slowed. It had less energy, and its strikes became weaker. The swamps dried up, the rainforests shifted, and mammals began to explode in numbers. Competition increased, and its food sources decreased. And slowly, the king lost its throne. There was no dramatic extinction event, no final battle. It was just nature moving on. Titanoboa didn't fail. The world simply stopped supporting it. And that is the most terrifying lesson of all. Because Titanoboa wasn't killed by another predator. It was killed by the climate.